Start your engines. The Syracuse Nationals rolls into Syracuse, New York, July 18th through the 20th for its 25th anniversary. Experience the largest car show in the Northeast with over 7,000 vehicles. It's 3 days of hot rods, classic cars, live entertainment, and family fun. Mark your calendars and make the Syracuse Nationals part of your summer plans. Buy your tickets, register your ride, and get all the details at SyracuseNationals.com. Syracuse Nationals. It's worth the drive. W261AC Oswego, WTKWHD2 Bridgeport, ESPN Radio.
Fran Brown this, Fran Brown that.
You know, winners get washed.
If I say one negative thing about Adrian Autry, the show ends and we just go to break.
If you want me to take a lie detector, Brian, I'll take it.
I don't like peanut butter.
Anybody that thinks this is going to come back is either naive or plain stupid.
All across CNY.
My name's on this show every freaking day.
It's the 315.
Hardy faking, feeds the Grace Jameson. Got it! Won the game!
He scores! Here's Brian Higgins.
Oh, it's Thursday. What a Thursday it is. What a show we got here in the Cuse, Utica. Rome! What's up, Rome? How we doing? Q Sports Talk, QSportsTalk.com, Twitch, YouTube, the chat. How we doing, chat? Get in there, hang out, chop it up. We got 2 hours of 2 hours of fun here today. We got guests. Oh, do we have guests? Paul Carcaterra, Lax Season Wrap later this hour. Kark is he's currently at like the PLL rookie training camp or something. We'll ask him to specify where he's at. I think he's currently like on the field, not training, because he's retired from the lacrosse. He'd be, well, how old's Kark now? Carry the one. Kark's got to be right around 50. But coming off the Final Four weekend, we'll get a little recap, review of Cornell's championship, and ask Kark to break out the crystal ball, look into the future of Syracuse lacrosse after a return to championship weekend this year. Mario, no, you are not mistaken. Today is not Friday. Mario off, no worky tomorrow for Mario. He's going to join us coming up later on the program today. We're going to give the six-pack a little rest. We're going to, it needs a little rest, off-season recuperation. It may take the summer, go on a backpacking trip of Europe, and then come back for the football season in the fall. And in hour two, you've been waiting for it. You've been waiting for the beginning of our 12 games in 12 weeks. Syracuse football preview. We get to know for the first time since 2001 the Tennessee Vols, as Syracuse and Tennessee will open the season. Checks notes 93 days from now. All of that and your calls. Welcome as always. 315-437-7644. Got the Women's College World Series on TV. Packed house in Omaha. They love their softball in Omaha. We got Oklahoma who's won like 98 straight national championships. Their pitcher, she's pretty good. I think I just saw her on some promotional announcement or whatever the heck baseball's doing with pro softball now. Something happened earlier today. I'm like, hey, I recognize that person, and now she's pitching. What a moment. What a moment on the television in front of my face. With that, welcome in here on this Thursday. We'll get to all of that and more, and let's do it right now.
We start with the Burdick BMW opening drive.
All right, let's start ish where we started yesterday, because right now, yesterday, 24 hours and 4 minutes ago, exactly, Greenwich Standard Time, Naval Observatory time. Like, we got this thing dialed in. We got a sundial. We got the whole thing. At that time yesterday, the ACC released home and road conference opponents for the league next year. The Orange, Pittsburgh, constant double up. Carolina double up this year. all the crazy road trips they had last year, Florida, Texas, California, those games in the Dome, no Stanford, yada, 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 yada. We went through that yesterday. Also, the news breaking yesterday morning that Syracuse and Georgetown will not be playing each other this year on the basketball court after 10 consecutive years. After leaving the Big East, they didn't play 10 straight years, 5 wins each, series on pause at least for this year. Which leads us to this. What is the rest of this Syracuse basketball schedule going to look like? At this point last year, I think we had a pretty firm grasp on it, right? Because it was 20 ACC games last year. We only needed to know 11. Cornell and Colgate were going to be on there, and we'd, heard hintity hint, winkety wink wink rumors about Lemoyne joining the schedule at this point last year, and we knew about at least 2, if not all 3 of the Barclays games at this point last year. The ACC SEC Challenge announcement, that's got to be coming like now. When's it coming? Now, soon, now. So we knew a lot already at this point last year. I think a lot of it, changing of the ACC schedule. There's this Vegas tournament with a lot of teams that they got to, figure out exactly how they're distributing them amongst each other. Like, there's a lot of variables here going into the schedule this year. Plus, the non-conference slate is going to be 13 games instead of 11. Math note, that's 2 more. So, what do we know from the non-conference slate? 13 games to come up with. 3 of them will be in Vegas, -3. 10 games to come up with. 1 of them will be the ACC SEC Challenge, -1. 9 games to come up with. You got to presume that Colgate and Cornell will be on there, -2. 7 games to come up with. I did not know, and I still do not know, if this is going to be an every year thing. In the 11-game non-conference schedule slate, I don't know if there was necessarily room for all 3 of Lemoyne, Colgate, Cornell every year. In a 13-game non-conference slate, yeah, why the hell not? Lemoyne, -1. 6 games that we need to come up with. 6. Where to go to come up with 6 games? No Georgetown. I would be very surprised if this is the year that Syracuse versus Big East everybody just comes totally to an end. We heard everyone on the Cuse and Georgetown side of things last December after the game saying, yeah, we'd both like to keep it going. Now it's not being kept going, but there was at least some sentiment for something to keep going. Syracuse v. old rival back in December. I'm going to say, why not Villanova? Villanova feels right, though. I think Villanova and Michigan maybe now have a series going on this year. But, everyone's got to play a bunch of games. I feel this could be a Villanova-y kind of year. I don't know. It feels about right. I'm going to guess 1. At least 1's going to happen. Why not Nova? Could it be UConn? Sure. Nova feels maybe more Syracuse's speed right now. They were net ranking 55 last year. UConn was net ranking back-to-back national champions all of last season. So we'll see where that lands. It kind of feels like, so we got 2 years of red. They had that rando game against Oregon in Sioux Falls. Lovely Sioux Falls. Fantastic people there. That Syracuse won. They had, I would say, a less random game, but albeit a still neutral site game against Maryland last year at the Barclays Center. It just feels something like that. Something like that's going to happen. How about it, like in New York City versus somebody, a Big Ten-ish team, Rutgers, I don't know, Penn State, Northwestern, I don't know who they're going to play. Indiana, somebody Big Ten-ish at Barclays or the Garden, something like that. It feels about right. That leaves us with 4 left if we get 2 things such as that. All right, let's browse the rest of New York State. Let's give it a little looky-loo. Let's give it the old once-over. I know, in theory, in an ideal world, where everything is going well and everybody's winning and there's no questions about anything or the future, why not go play Jerry and Siena? We're not currently Yeah, the current zip code ain't there. I think that would be not the best of ideas to go play Jerry and Siena this year, because even if Siena makes a significant move upward, it's still not going to be a net game that would do a lot for you. And God forbid if you lose to Siena, if you're Syracuse, yeah, then they got to deal with that whole thing. So, maybe not. That said, at some point, if Jerry's at Siena and he gets it going a little bit, I remember Jerry played in the game. It was actually the same day as the Diamond Ferry football game, always known as the Diamond Ferry game, where Syracuse played BC back in late November of 2004. Coach P's last win. Well, simultaneously, Syracuse was playing Siena in Albany. I think if you're going to play Siena, yeah, get a game going in Albany. Get a little road action. You bring the Syracuse fan base there. That arena's big enough. I mean, it seats 14, 15, whatever thousand. You get a nice crowd for that. That would be a good game to have. I just don't think this is the year for it, for a whole lot of reasons. But hopefully that game can exist at some point in the future. But how about the Bonnies? This feels like a year to play the Bonnies. Get the Bonnies on up to the Dome, or play them in Rochester like you did whenever that was 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, little Bonnies. Let's get a little Bonnies in everybody's life. I'd say maybe Buffalo. Buffalo was terrible last year. They are well removed from the great days that they had within the 2010s. It's not going great right now, Buffalo. They were net rankings 300 plus last year. I don't know if you can risk necessarily scheduling another one of those games if you're already doing a Lemoyne in schools like that. But basically, if you do that, well, right now it looks like, oh my God, we don't know any of these non-conference games. We don't know any of these non-conference games. I got it down to about 2 real quick there. Without any specifics, but, open it up. Have Lemoyne. Why not make Lemoyne, like, if that's going to be a yearly thing, make it the opener, right? Just say, hey, season opening, Syracuse, the whole city, Lemoyne. Yeah, there we go. Don't need to worry about hotel rooms. Colgate, Cornell. Then if we do that, you basically only need to find 2, like, truly random opponents, right? You're always going to have a couple on the schedule that are like, why are they playing Northwest, Southeast, North Dakota Tech? Huh, that's a strange one. And why is it on Christmas Eve afternoon? What a weird game time. But there's always going to be a couple just ones on there. You need dome games. You need volume. You need to open the building enough times in the year. Season tickets, money. It all matters, things like that. But I think as far as legit scheduling enough tough games, if you get the 3 in Vegas, you look at the list of whoever's in Vegas, whomever you play out there, it doesn't matter how they put that together. That's 3 real games. It doesn't matter. That thing is stacked. Whoever Syracuse plays out there, that's 3 real games. Whoever you're playing in SEC, even at the bottom of the league, I looked this up earlier, LSU was dead last in the SEC last year. They were still top 90 in the net. That's where the SEC was metrically as a conference last year. Vanderbilt, 14th in the net out of 16 in the SEC. They're like 60-something in the net. Like, if the numbers are remotely the same, it almost doesn't matter who you get as your opponent if you're looking metrics-wise. So we'll see. Hopefully it's somebody intriguing and both intriguing and beatable that shows up in the Dome, because that game, you're looking at calendars. Realistically, it's going to be the game right after the Vegas tournament. So that is a meaty stretch of the schedule, late November, early December this year. And then, get a couple random games in there. Hopefully get one. Give me a little Big East nostalgia. Give me Nova. Give me UConn. Give me Providence. Give me something. Give me a little something there. St. John's in the Garden. Give me another game down in New York City. Give me somebody down there. I don't know. Indiana. Cuse, Indiana. Barclays. Something like that. That feels like a thing. I don't know. Maryland again. Maybe. That didn't go so hot last year. I don't know. Who else would you play? Illinois? I don't know. Pick a team. The Big Ten feels about right for a game like that. That's why I keep saying, you're already playing an SEC team. Go get a Big Ten team. Pick a Big Ten team and go play them. And then you get a couple random teams, the Bonnies, and there you're at. You're all done. I imagine sooner than later, because we're at season schedule trickle it out there time. It's email trickling time. It's schedule o'clock. Like, these games got to start getting announced sooner than later. So we'll see what we got. But that's what I'm looking at. That's the framework that I'm mentally working within right now, starting to anticipate what the basketball schedule is going to look like, at least in the non-conference portion. My guess is sooner than later, tomorrow, Monday, that we'll start to learn something. LeMoyne, Colgate, Cornell, something. We're going to start to learn something. Like Sam Houston State, I don't know, something random. We got to get the random game in there at some point. But there we are, Burdick BMW opening drive today, trying to peer into the crystal ball to see what the Syracuse non-conference slate is going to look like. We do not need a crystal ball to find out what happened on the market today. All we need to do is ask Mike from Lee Baldwin, because he knows what happened on the market today. So how'd this Thursday go for you, Mike?
Well, we had a positive day, Brian, across the board. All three major averages closed up about 0.25%. We were up more this morning. We're coming off of NVIDIA's strong earnings last night. The market opened up pretty high. Sold off as the day went on, but like I said, it did close just positive for the day. We had a nice diamond. We're going to go with Hershey Foods, symbol HSY, up $5 to $161 a share. Cocoa prices had actually been skyrocketing earlier in the year on tariff concerns and bad weather in West Africa, believe it or not. But for the seventh straight day, cocoa prices slid, and that was good for Hershey Foods, so nice rally there. Our dog, we're going to go with retailers. We had three retailers report earnings this morning: Best Buy, Kohl's, on worse than expected earnings. So we'll see if we can continue the momentum tomorrow and close out the week on a strong note, Brian.
All right, we need the Hershey s'mores bump into the weekend, Mike. I think that can lead us all into June.
That's right.
Mike from Lee Baldwin, all of the diamonds and none of the dogs. Yes, tomorrow will be the last trading day of May on the market. We flipped the calendar coming up on Sunday. With that, we'll step aside. Phone lines open next, 315-437-7644. We just had basketball schedule speculation. When we can come back, I can give you football schedule, actual things that happened earlier today. Kark, Lax, bottom of the hour, much more to Thursday. Phone lines open, 315-437-7644. Back next, Q Sports Talk, ESPN Radio. Sun? We have sun? It does look sunny outside right now, Matt. Well, Steve Hatch. Let's call Alyssa Murray and get an SU women's lax update. We may. That's not a bad idea. Steve, I may kick the tires, see if Alyssa's free for tomorrow. I need something to sink my teeth into tomorrow. I'm going to write that down right here in my Google Doc. Alyssa Murray, question mark. I put 2 question marks. Wow, that's cool, Theo. My uncle is an Air Force graduate. She gonna fly them planes, Theo? Or is she not of the proper piloting size? They have very strict rules with all that stuff. The old fitting in the plane thing. Where does a VIP ticket for the Thunderbirds put you, Govendo? Like the cockpit? That might be like a VVIP. You just get like second row in the jet. Ah, there's the real answer. In a tent with the food and the bev. There's the real answer. A whole Air Force couple. Look at that.
QSportsTalk.com. All across CNY, it's the 315 with Brian Higgins.
That it is. Here we are. Thursday. Phones available. 315-437-7644. Kark, Lax. 10 minutes. Wrap of the season. Really need to get in Kark's head, though. The look ahead. Syracuse Lax 2026. No time like the present to look ahead to the end of May next year. We'll do that in roundabouts 10. But right now, it's time. It's time.
It's a Fran Brown countdown.
About to get wild. I know that's winners get wild.
100 days.
I'm getting 100 cups of coffee, starting now.
100 thoughts.
Hey, Fran Brown.
It's a Fran Brown countdown to Syracuse football.
What a win for the franchise. What a year it has been.
It's the final countdown.
93 days, minus 4 hours and 22 minutes until kickoff in the ATL. Cuse, Tennessee. In the opener, we'll be talking some Vols ball. That rhymes. With Patrick Brown from Goal Vols 24/7. Patrick is the Mike McAllister of Tennessee. I need to put it in terms we can understand here in Syracuse. So we're going to start our 12 games in 12 weeks preview around about an hour from now. What we learned earlier today, though, is how about some kickoff times? How about planning out your September? We know more kickoff times now than we knew prior to today. Prior to today, we knew 1, 2 kickoff times. We knew Syracuse, Tennessee, ABC, noon, Saturday, August 31st. And we knew Syracuse on the road, South Bend, Notre Dame, Saturday, November 22nd, 3:30, NBC. We now know 3 more. The TV on 2 of them, not quite as illustrious as CBS and NBC, though there's an ESPN tossed in the mix in one of the 3 we learned today. We learned the official kick time week 2. UConn dome opener, Saturday, September 6th. A nooner. We're going nooners week 1 and week 2. That game will be ACC Network Extra on the television. Week 2, UConn, Saturday, September 6th at noon. We also know week 3. We knew this would be a Friday game against Colgate. Week 3, we know the rest of the details. Friday, September the 12th, 7 o'clock. That will be on ACC Network regular. They're not extra, just the regular ACC network in week 3. And we knew this would be the Friday night ESPN affair, but we now know the kick time of week 10, Halloween. Belichick. Oh my goodness, the Belichick, the Belichick, Jordan, what's her name costumes in the Dome that night are going to be, oh my goodness, there's going to be some just stuff that probably can't be shown on television. Week 10, Carolina, Dome, Halloween, 7:30 on ESPN. 7:30 on ESPN. So a few kick times for your life. We can schedule out our first 3 weeks of the season. Great day to go apple picking. Saturday, September 13th. Why? Because Syracuse is playing Colgate the night before. Lovely weekend for apple picking. Perhaps too soon for the apples you're going for, but it should be a lovely day. Your Saturday's free. Your Saturday evenings are free the first 2 weekends of the season. Back-to-back Nooners, Tennessee, and UConn to start the season. UConn, the home opener. That means a 9 a.m. Shaughnessy's job for yours truly. It was a great crowd out there at Shaughnessy's all year last year when we were getting into it and getting the pregame shows going. That's turning into a vibe, a scene, the shuttle, the food, the whole thing. They had a great thing going all year, and we got the contracts. They're signed and sealed. They are not delivered yet because that's like actually doing it. So we won't be delivering anything from Shaughnessy's until Saturday, September the 6th. But we know some dates. We know some times. Best guess now, we probably won't learn anything new. Maybe they'll toss out the last. Actually, no. Week 4 is Clemson, right? Like, we're not going to learn that way in advance. They need the results of the Week 1 games. Syracuse and Tennessee and Clemson at LSU before they decide the television fate and time of that game. So, realistically, we probably will not learn another Syracuse kick time, more likely than not, until it is, quite literally, September. With that, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll both look ahead to next year and look back to last weekend. Paul Carcaterra, Lax, next. Q Sports Talk, ESPN Radio.
The sport.
There you go, Fred. You got to speak things into existence, Weeze. Oh, yeah. It didn't occur to me until this second. Like, I know it's been Halloween, but the Belichick, Jordan, Hudson things, the Syracuse students' costumes that day could be, there could be some inappropriate happenings in the Dome if they can sneak that stuff in. Yeah, the Nooners. Imagine doing a pregame show from a bar live at 9 a.m. Then imagine the bar opening at 9 a.m. and people ordering beers. They will get after it at Shaughnessy's pregame now. You were, Kev. Was that a Nooner you came out to? They do a nice job there. Shout out to Shaughnessy's. Hi, not Paulie. I don't know who you are, not Paulie. I just know you're not Paulie. But I miss you too. This softball game is kind of intense here, Tennessee and Oklahoma. Or like an accidental nap, Matt. You get a little nooner tailgate. You get done with that. You could have a little accidental 5 o'clock nap. Be like, ah. That place is packed. Like, Omaha is bumping. Like corn stuff. Probably some corn stuff. There's usually a lot of corn stuff going on in Omaha. Actually, no, they're not in Omaha. That's the Men's College World Series. Where are they? They're in Oklahoma City. Less corn stuff. Lots less corn stuff. Yeah, Kev, it's Thursday. Dial up your Francesca's deals. All right, back at it here on a Thursday. We'll be getting to Paul Carcaterra shortly to talk some lax. Carc he'll have to tell us exactly where he is. He's at PLL training camp. Like, the PLL season started last weekend. The Premier Lacrosse League season started last weekend. And Carc's on the field. He told me to give him a 5-minute warning. He's doing stuff, so hopefully we'll find Carc here sooner than later. He's doing something. He's doing lacrosse things. Carc's a busy fellow, that Paul Carcaterra. But yeah, we had Anisha on earlier this week. We had Quinton last week, so we gotta complete the set of ESPN lax announcers. You got to collect them all. I think that's how it goes. I'll be intrigued to ask Carc about, I want to hear about the greatness of C.J. Kirst. C.J. Kirst will win the Tewaaraton Award tonight. I want to ask Carc what makes this guy so great, because he's not like he's not a bad athlete, but he's not like an, oh my God, what an athlete. Like, he's not Mike Powell with the quickness. He's not a shocking. He's not Paul Rabel with just like the hulking size and strength. But I'll be very intrigued to get that. But I want to ask him. All right, so Syracuse made it back to the Final Four this year in lax. Yes, yes, and they played Maryland. Yes, yes. It went poorly. Yes, yes. Fast forward 360 some odd days. So if we're doing it again next year, what can potentially make it go less poorly for Syracuse next year? AKA beating a Maryland, winning a couple games. Because we all know this. If you've been a Syracuse lax watcher, lax fan for a long time, yeah, it was great to make it back to the Final Four. It was great. That used to be assumed. Now it's great to make it back there. But Roy Simmons Jr. has said it many, many times. And he won 6 of them. I need another hand. 6 of them as head coach of the Orange. John Desko won 5 of them as head coach. He won all 6 as an assistant. He's got 11 rings clanging around somewhere. He has a nice ring box, actually, that they all fitted. Well displayed. But as Roy Simmons Jr. says it, we play for the gold. Like, the Final Four is great. Like, it's an achievement to make it there, but we play for the gold. Syracuse has not won said gold here in a minute. Next year, there's no other conversation to have, right? This year the conversation was what? Final Four or bust. All right, they made the Final Four, and then you lose. So what's the conversation going to be next year? Final Four or bust? Sure. What do we? There's one thing left. It's not make the title game or bust. No, it's championship or bust. Now, can you still have a really good season and not win a title? Of course. Can next season happen without a championship and still it happen in a way that it's not just like a disappointment? Yes, I'm sure there's ways it can happen. But we all know this about Syracuse lacrosse. The players themselves, like, they'll tell you that. Like, they're dying to win a national championship again, to get number 12. To be the team that ends the streak of not winning, which is now 16 years old and will be sitting on 17 going to next year. They're dying to be that team. Can they be that team last year? Can they plug the gaps of what held them back ever so slightly this year, right? They showed a lot this year. They climbed and made it back to the Final Four. They showed that comeback ability in the first round of the playoffs against Harvard. They showed an ability to win a truly special, crazy, fun game in the quarters against Princeton. When all that pressure's on you, the quarterfinal game, man, the quarterfinal game is loaded with pressure. To get to championship weekend, those games are usually just like nail-biting, tense, crazy affairs, especially when Syracuse has the Final Four streak going, but just in general, because you're either on the stage, you've made the Final Four, you can check mark the box of yes, successful season, or not. Like this year, Syracuse can say, it was a successful season. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was a successful season. You made it back to the Final Four. First time in 16 years. That's great. First time in 12 years, pardon me, for the Final Four. 16 cents a championship. It's great. It's great. But can you have all of the pieces? Because it is very rare anymore, especially with how deep Lax is now, how the talent is spread out amongst the sport. Like, you can't win a national championship anymore as a one-dimensional outfit. There were years where if you were just really, really good at something, like really good, you could power through the tournament by just being so dynamic at one end of the field. It was good enough. Syracuse's offense back in the day, Princeton's, style back in the day. You could power through the tournament and win on your style and your style alone. You can't do it anymore. We saw that happen all weekend long. Like, Syracuse could not beat Maryland at Maryland style on Saturday. Cornell did. They beat Penn State in a game they were not quite in control of how it was going, and they beat Maryland in Maryland style in the title game on Monday after, blazing a rollicking trail through the regular season. Syracuse showed sometimes they could get out of their comfort zone and play a different way. I'm not saying that Syracuse needs to change their style of play, change their DNA, and change who they are. Some people ask me this big, well, if John Tillman's so successful, why isn't everybody doing that? Well, come on. Gary Gates, the head coach, they're not going to play a stodgy, slow it down game. They're going to do it with flair. But can they find the mixture that gives them a little something else to go on when it comes to that? All right, let's get another break in. Hopefully we'll touch base with Kark when we come back. Mario still to come. Next hour we'll talk to Patrick Brown, the Mike McAllister of Tennessee. Patrick should be honored. I'm calling him that. A.K.A. he's the 24/7 sports reporter for the Vols. We'll talk to him next hour as we get our kick it off officially here with 93 days to go to the game. We kick off our 12 games and 12-week countdown of Syracuse football. All that and more when we come back here in this hour, brought to you by William Attar. Hurt in a car? Call William Attar. We're back after this on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
You've never seen Naked Gun?
Nope.
It's classic. What do you think it's about? Just out of curiosity.
Well, the name would suggest.
No. Get your mind out of it.
You can't just go off.
No one they call Paulie right now, Fred. Paulie has come and gone. What Francesca's got today? 1 Riggies, 1 meatball, 2 knots, $15.99. Man, what a deal. I'm Brian. Brian who? I am Brian Higgins, Fred. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. In several places. Now it says Labatt. That is a fact, Cavendo. Oh, you're being silly, Fred. We love our Gomez crowd. Shout out to Gomez. Who doesn't like Gomez? If you don't like Gomez, I got some questions about you. Number 1, what is wrong with you? Number 2, who hurt you? Number 3, get out. Yeah. That's the order of if you don't like Gomez. I know the last one wasn't really a question, but that's okay. I've heard he may have broadcast the Hindenburg Special in the Louise. I had a sneeze stuck. A stuck sneeze. It's the worst. Kev's going for the pizza. Look, it's Paulie.
What's for dinner tonight?
Some chicken legs.
Me too. Chicken drumsticks.
Yeah.
Mine didn't thaw out all the way.
Oh, I thought you didn't eat them yesterday?
No, I left them in the fridge.
And they were frozen?
And they were frozen. They were still frozen, so then I threw them in marinade and decided that I'll have them today.
Yeah, I've made I did it's like a honey mustardy thing. Oh. So we'll see how that's going to do.
Wegmans Zesty.
Ooh. It's just zesty?
Yeah, it says you can use that steak or chicken.
That's all it is. It's just, the name is just zesty.
Yeah, it's like A1.
I feel that needs a second word. Zesty.
Marinade.
Yeah, just so they can use another word. Let's see, what do you got there?
Teriyaki.
Zesty.
Very good.
The Wegmans teriyaki. They I don't know what happened there. Yeah, what's going on here? Did I? Oh. Is that what I did? What did I do? No, I meant to take it out next hour because I have to. I was going to smush the two breaks together next hour because I got to go take Max to Taekwondo. So we screwed that up just a little bit. So we're going to do. We're going to have a very rogue segment here. Oh, we just messed up some. We did some button messing up there. We made the commercial weirdly long. We hit some incorrect buttons. That's okay. Live radio. Here we are. All right, we'll give another crack at Kark here to see if we can find him. Where is Paul Carcaterra? Where is Paul Carcaterra? He's busy. That's where he is. He's busy. Oh, I hit some wrong buttons. Silly me. 315-437-7644 if you'd like to chime in here on this Thursday. We'll get Mario in coming up in just a wee bit to talk all this stuff. He was out at the LAX Final Four. He and Steve with News Channel 9 over the weekend. Get his thoughts on the Cornell win for sure. Big time national championship win for Cornell the other day. And we will fast forward into our 12 games in 12 weeks preview of the Syracuse football season. Talk a little Tennessee Vols coming up next hour. Man, Tennessee, they've had themselves a spicy offseason, have they not? They've had themselves a spicy offseason. Mainly like the Nico Imaliava stuff. Like, I'll be intrigued to hear Patrick Brown's thoughts on that when we have him on next hour. Like, what? Like, that was wacky watching it from here on the outside. Like, that was kind of wild watching it from here on the outside. I can't imagine what that was like being close to it, what was going on there. And then, like, everything else that went along, swirling around it, just, like, wild stuff. Like, it was a crazy recruitment, right, going into it. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on from a lot of different angles playing into that. So I'll be intrigued to get his thoughts on that. And Tennessee has kind of been at the forefront of pushing the envelope on a lot of things between, like, the Imaliava deal with NIL and, like, a whole lot of stuff. They've been pushing the envelope. So I'll be very intrigued to get Patrick Brown's thoughts on all of that. With that, let's go to the phones. We got Tony in the queues on the line. What's going on, Tony?
It's John.
Oh, hey, John. Sorry.
Yeah. As far as the lacrosse goes, first of all, Gary Gatefer, the first thing he should do is take John Tillman off the schedule, because John Tillman's the best coach in the country, and you knew this was going to happen. You don't give a week to John Tillman to prepare for Gary Gate. He only needs 1 minute. All he's got to do is he's got to know that Syracuse is turnover-prone, mistake-prone, and all they have to do is play solid defense and fundamental lacrosse the way they always do, and they'll beat Syracuse 10 out of 10 times. I'm sorry, but unless Tillman retires or passes away unexpectedly, you're going to have a long wait to get to the championship.
All right. Well, hopefully, wishing the best for John there. He's quite young, so I'm not going to count on the latter. But, obviously, Tillman, Gary got outcoached on Saturday. But I'll say this for the regular season. I think that's exactly why I'd keep them on the schedule in the regular season. So hopefully you get a chance to hopefully figure it out a little bit in the games that don't matter as much, because the odds are you are going to run into them in the playoffs, John. So at least if you play them earlier in the season, you at least have an idea of what's going to happen to you. Unfortunately, it happened to him in February and happened to him again in May. It was the same exact thing. It happened twice, and that's how Syracuse's season ended.
I know. But unfortunately, I think it's going to happen every time you play them. Unless you go out and get a kid like Shamati out of Richmond, or Busick out of Cornell, that plays, fundamentally sound lacrosse. I just don't think you can do it with Gary Gate there. I'm sorry.
All right,
if I'm wrong, goodbye.
All right, we all hope you're wrong. That's the hope. But it's not gone well for anybody. Maryland's won 8 straight games against Syracuse. The unexpectedly passes away. That took a dark turn. As far as I know, John Tillman's health is doing okay. But yeah, Tillman, I looked this up the other day. How old is Tillman? Is he still in his 40s, early 50s? John Tillman. How old are you? John Tillman was born sometime. Born circa 1970. Wikipedia is they're taking a shot in the dark. John Tillman, born circa 1970s, 55. So yeah, just chalk him in for another 10 years, longer. Nobody's retiring these days if you love what you're doing in those sports, and he's winning all the time. He's got 2 national championships to his game. Yeah, they are the kryptonite to Syracuse right now, and Maryland has been the lead kryptonite to Syracuse going on 15 years. For Desko for a while, and now for Gary Gate. He's lost to him 5 times in the last 4 years. And while those regular season meetings can be dispiriting, I'll say this. Keep playing them in the regular season early. One, Gary likes to have Maryland on the schedule for recruiting purposes. You get down into that neck of the woods every year because one year it's Maryland and the other year it's Hopkins. Those two trips have been, or those 2 games have been alternated on the schedule, so you're getting down into Baltimore in the general region every year, which is a reasonable, good thing to do. But the other side of the coin there is that if there's ever going to be one thing that can give you some sort of advantage against Maryland in the playoffs, and it didn't happen this time. You hoped it would, but it didn't, is that at least have that experience against those guys and the way they play, not be coming out of left field and being like, we don't know what this is going to be all about. They played them in February, and it kind of stunk to see, okay, now it's 8-1. You're like, well, wait, what? Wait, how did that happen? How did that happen? How did they not figure something out? Because it was the same game, right? The game that happened in February was the same game that happened in May, and the same game that happened last year. It's been, the first year Gary played, it was an underdog kind of team. That game was kind of fun. I did that game on TV with Ryan Powell in the Dome, and they lost 14-10. But it was. I'm like, all right, this doesn't necessarily feel like the same old Syracuse Maryland game. But then basically every game since, for the most part, they had one overtime game with them a couple of years ago. But it's just felt the same way, the same thing. John's right. Like, can you win a national title without beating Maryland? Yeah, it could work out. You might not have to play them. You might not cross paths with them on the way. But more likely than not, and I'd say whether you have to beat them or not it's not immaterial, but you need to figure out how to beat them at least every now and again, because if you can beat them, that means you can beat that style. And the odds are these days you're going to have to play a game and win a game like that at least once on your way to the title, whether it's against them or not. Whether it's against them or not. That said, let's work on the first half of that, figuring out how to beat John Tillman, instead of the second half of that, and wishing his untimely demise. We're not long and healthy life, John. Long and healthy life. We'll see how that goes for Mr. Wait. We will wait out the opposition. It's a siege on Maryland. We will deny them food. We have dug a moat around their encampment. We will not allow supplies into College Park. Be kind of dark for Gary. Does have that lacrosse sticks thrown. Maybe he could turn into a despot. Evil Gary Gate. That could be fun. That could be a new twist on things. Gary Gate, season 5. He's now evil. I don't know what they're going to do, because as much as John takes it about 9 steps too far, he's not wrong to some of it. Syracuse was too sloppy in that game, and they just were not ready to deal with, for whatever reason, with Maryland style. They weren't ready to deal with it. And it's been the case for years and years. And it's a problem, because Maryland is there every year. They've been at 11 of the last 14 Final Fours. They will be there. So if you can't beat them, you can't win the title. Yes, technically you can win a championship without beating Maryland. Technically, I'm sure somebody has over the course of the last 15 years. I'd have to literally go through year by year to do it. But most people that have won the championship over that time period have beaten Maryland at some point, because Maryland's been in 9 of the last 14 title games. They've lost 7 of them. Like, a lot of people have beaten Maryland very directly to win the championship. Like, it's been a prerequisite. here of late. It's been a prerequisite here of late to win the championship, to beat them, and Syracuse hasn't been able to do it. Syracuse has not beaten Maryland in lacrosse since the quarterfinals back in 2009. That's their last win against Maryland on a lacrosse field. And Gary's made it a point. He plays them every year. He plays them every year. As far as I know, that's going to continue. I don't see any reason why not. I think it's a good game to play in February because Gary knows, like, the goal is to win the title. Iron sharpens iron and all that. Their schedule is really hard. And it's not a game they've won yet. But why not? Put it on the schedule. Play it. Try to win it in the regular season. But the real goal of that game, yeah, you want to win every game, but, going undefeated in lacrosse, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That game is figuring out what you need to figure out for 3 months from now. That's what that game is all about on the Syracuse lacrosse schedule. So we'll see what it leads to going forward. But hopefully Syracuse can take the next step and see if they can't win national title number 12 coming up next year. With that, we will step aside. Hour 2 is next. Mario, top of the hour. We'll talk some lax and other things with Mr. Sacco. Patrick Brown of Go Vols 24/7 after that to start our 12 games in 12 weeks preview of Syracuse football. Before that, we got a call. We've beat the buzzer. Let's get Jay in Baldwinsville on the line before we hit a break. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, real quick. Listen, I think our lacrosse program, is in great shape. I don't think there's a problem with anything else like that. I think the expectation of us getting multiple championships like we did back in our heyday, just because of the parity that all these schools are coming in, and it's not a given that the best players are going to want to come to play for Syracuse. I mean, have you seen the Ohio State lacrosse facility? Homewood Field and their facilities with John Hopkins. All these schools are starting to put more and more money in to the program, and combine that with the weather and everything else like that. So I think Gates doing a great job. I mean, I don't think it was a great look on Saturday after a couple of Maryland goals. I mean, a couple times Gate looked like he saw fire for the first time. With a couple of those snapshots, like just staring off into the distance, but. Overall, I think Gates got, would we finish 4th this year in the country? Not too bad. It made it to the Final Four. So I think it's a huge expectation for us to win multiple championships and get that dynasty like we did back in the day, just because all these other schools are putting so much money into their programs, putting it into the swag. I mean, you just YouTube any of these big programs and see what these kids get to choose from. What Virginia's facility looks like, what Duke's facility looks like. Again, I say Ohio State's facility. I mean, it's a lot more than, honestly, I hate to say it, it's a lot more than the name to a lot of these younger kids that are coming out of the college. And good for them. I mean, you see a lot of our local talent doesn't stay here. You look at that. So, again, it wasn't a good look for Gate. He kind of looked like he was getting out coached just by some of the shots that they were showing on the sideline. But other than that, I don't know what people expect. I think our program's in good shape, and we're going to be right up there, top 10, top 5 in the country. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm good with that.
And yeah, I'd say, Jay, the hope is you're not going to win titles every single year anymore, but the hope is to get one here at some point sooner than later. And I'll say this, there's part of the main thing that's happened in lacrosse, and you're right, like Ohio State, Penn State have spectacular facilities now. Hopkins, they built a thing at the end of a whole lacrosse complex a decade ago. Syracuse has great facilities. They got the Ensley. The Dome is the best game facility in the country for lax. But what's happened is, college lacrosse on the men's side, there's still about the same amount of teams. The explosion at the youth level, everyone's got great players now. Everyone's got a dude. Everyone's got a dude. And because of that, every game's hard at this point.
Absolutely. So, again, I think we should worry more about our basketball program right now than our lacrosse program and our football program. Our lacrosse program's fine. And we're going to compete every year. I like what we've got going on up there. So just wanted to add that in. And it's just not so easy that, you can walk into a kid's living room and say, hey, come to Syracuse because we're Syracuse. That just doesn't fly anymore. And there's so much more opportunities for all these kids to go to these other schools. So I think we're in good shape. I just wanted to add that, Brian.
All right, Jay. Appreciate the call, and you're absolutely correct. It's not like it was in the old day. You want to come to Syracuse? Yes. I mean, Roy had people promising their firstborns to come and play for the program as well. He was getting 2 generations for the price of 1 back in the day. All right, let's take a break. Mario next to start hour 2 here on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio. Well, technically not true, Kev. They do have football and basketball. They just don't. They have Division III football and basketball. That said, to say Syracuse is lacking in, Syracuse is not lacking in facilities in lacrosse. It's just that other schools are actually putting some money into facilities in lacrosse. Virginia could actually use an update. Klockner needs a little zhuzhing. But between having Ensley, having the Dome, Syracuse is just fine. No, Hopkins money is, every cent that matters at Hopkins in athletics is going towards lacrosse. That is a fact, Kev. All right, let's actually do what I meant to do with the log earlier, which was not screw up the last commercial break. That's better. Yes, Hopkins has a very specific set of athletic donors, and it's all for lacrosse. It didn't feel Rogue Wheeze, but yet. Yeah, Homewood itself is, the facility they built at the end of Homewood about a decade ago is really nice. The lacrosse team facility they built at the right end of the field. Is that south? I don't know which direction that is. It's west, Spatch and Louise. You're up on Baltimore Stadium directions. This Tennessee pitcher is dealing.
Hour with Burdick BMW.
That we do. Hour 2 has landed. Start our 12 games in 12 weeks preview of Syracuse football, talking some Tennessee Vols with Patrick Brown of Go Vols 24/7 coming up in 10 or so. But right now, you may say, this isn't Friday. Why are you talking to Mario? Because Mario's taking a day off tomorrow. That's why we're talking to Mario. You almost had a hole-in-one today. You're just living life right now.
You know how nothing possible goes right in your round, and then you hit like the shot of the day, and you're like, oh, that's why I keep coming back and playing. Yeah, that was the fifth hole. We played the backside first, so it was about the 14th hole today for me. I play old man golf, so I hit a hybrid from 180 yards out. And I hit the stick, and no, I did not make the birdie putt because it rolled back about 10 feet, and I missed the downhill putt. So, close. Almost had to buy some drinks, but my credit card is safe today.
Okay, well, that's the one good news of it. I've never quite understood that tradition. Hey, you've had the golf moment of your life. Now everybody else gets drinks. That's always confused me.
So I've only been a part of one hole-in-one in my life. It was my best friend who used to be awful at golf, and he played in the minors for the Mets for a couple years. Was horrendous. Had a baseball swing. And he gets a hole-in-one, and he didn't buy us any drinks. Like, what is that? I don't get it. But, yeah, that was my hole-in-one story.
I say he can at least buy you a drink. I don't understand. Why do you got to buy everybody at the course a drink? Like, I don't even know you. Why do you get a drink? Apparently,
imagine when you hit it on the PGA Tour, what those tabs are like. I think the one guy had like a $5,000 tab a couple of weeks ago.
No. All right. Well, at least then they're directly giving you the check, I think, to offset the the cost of that. All right. So you're fresh back from the Final Four earlier this week. Cornell.
What a week.
Yeah. I mean, Cornell winning the title first time in 48 years. That CJ Kirst fellow. He's pretty good, huh?
Yeah. He just handed him the trophy. They could have handed him the Thwarton Trophy after he won the national championship too, instead of making him drive down to D.C. and accept the award tonight. All season long, Brian, you kind of knew that they were the team to beat. With that attack unit that they have, the first 2 goals of the game scored by Cornell in that game, it was their second unit, second line scoring for them. So, and then once he got rolling, it was look out. And, you talked about coming into the game. I said the key was going to be for Wyatt Nuss to not have to be, better than Logan McNaney, but, around there. And he played great. 12 saves in that game. And the biggest one, it's a 10-9 game with about, 8.5, 9 minutes left in that game. And he makes a great save right on the doorstep. And, Cornell goes down and scores and goes back up by 2, and the rest is history. So just an outstanding atmosphere to be in. Championship weekend, 32,000 fans were there at the championship game. Steve and I were at the women's game. We were filming some stand-ups. They had a record of 15,000 there. And yeah, I know, for Syracuse fans, it didn't end the way that it wanted to, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute. But that's where you want to be. You want those kids to experience that, and those freshmen on that Cornell team in 2022, they experienced it. And they didn't want that taste in their mouth, and they went out and got the job done in their senior season. And let's hope, Syracuse has now experienced that. They experienced the quarterfinals loss, now a semifinals loss, and hopefully, next year that they can get over the page, just as long as some guy named John Tillman and Maryland aren't in their way.
Yeah, and that is the everlasting problem for Syracuse, and it seems the lacrosse world right now. The Orange, barring something strange here in the transfer portal, they're going to be bringing back a ton. Spallina, goalie, face-off, they're bringing back a lot of people next year. But the Maryland thing, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, does another year bring you closer to beating that, right? Because that style
they're going to reload.
Yeah. But that style has killed you. I mean, it's killed you for 15 years now playing against specifically them.
Yeah, and after in the post-game press conference, and I'm not knocking, Coach Gate or anything, but he always mentions the tempo that Maryland plays. Well, you've seen it now. You understand the tempo that they play, and they beat everyone. Until they get to the championship game, they do it year in, year out. Tillman's been to 9 finals now, I think it is. He's 2-7. I do believe in championship games. So it's not just the Syracuse thing, and I'm not picking on Syracuse, but you got to, kind of the blueprint of what Cornell did. They had good goaltending. They forced Maryland. 12 turnovers Maryland had in that championship game. That's uncharacteristic of a Maryland team. And, once they got up, they never let, Maryland go on those 4-goal runs, those 3-goal runs. They kind of kept them at arm's length the whole time. And that's kind of the blueprint. And it's easier said than done because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be done against the Maryland team. I'd say more than that, probably 95 out of 100 times it's not going to be done.
Yeah, and I guess the most disappointing part is, okay, like I understand it wasn't shocking, no, is that Gary has scheduled Maryland every year for, February, beginning of March, which I like the idea, right? You see this tough thing early in the season, so you know what you've got to be. I guess that's what's disappointing. If you took the February game and the May game and put them next to each other, you'd be like, you're watching the same thing.
Same exact thing. And if you look at the last year's game, that was more of the style that SU wanted to play and was trying to play.
Yeah.
But, you got to win faceoffs. And, for as good as John Mullen was all year, he didn't win faceoffs in the semifinal game. And Syracuse had less possessions. And what's less possessions against Maryland mean? Like, it's not good. So, I still think it's a very successful season for Syracuse lacrosse. Yeah, it didn't end the way that it wanted to, but as you mentioned, who you're losing. You're losing Owen Hiltz, you're losing Sam English, and those are 2 huge pieces. But all the guys that you have coming back, from a Michael Leo to a Finn Thompson to a Joey Spallina, that's going to be the calister to try and get back to where you want to be, and that's now going to be in Charlottesville next year.
Yes, it got moved there. They somehow scheduled it. Where was it supposed to be? Foxborough, and then they were like, "Oh, right, the World Cup's going to be here." Like, oops, we forgot about the World Cup. I don't know how you forget about the World Cup, but oops. But Charlottesville, that's actually, I'm actually intrigued by getting back on campus. I want to say 02 Rutgers, I think, was the last time the Final Four was on a campus site. I think that could be a cool.
I couldn't remember. Yeah, everything's been at either Philly, Baltimore Stadium, or Philly. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess technically the Hartford thing a couple of years ago, but that
was it. Yeah, that was it.
Rensselaer's not on a campus. It's on a
UConn school, right?
Yeah, it's nowhere near the campus. It's on an airfield. Is basically what it is. It's on a runway. But I think that could be cool next year in Virginia. Get back on campus for a year and see if that juices up the crowd a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully, book the hotel rooms early because I'm told it's not the easiest to try and get a hotel room around there.
No, it is not a hotel-rich environment from my trips down there before. If you do not get on top of that, you could have like a 45-minute drive to the game. Basketball schedule stuff. So we learned no Georgetown this year. We learned the ACC opponents. Anything out of that pop to you more than the others?
I was surprised that North Carolina was their home and home, and not Boston College. That kind of shocked me a little bit, but I like the home slate of games that they have. And if you're looking like at the schedule, but nothing really jumping out as far as you got 2 with Pitt, 2 with North Carolina, and if you're a Syracuse fan, like you're avoiding going to the West Coast. You're staying on the East Coast pretty much because SMU's at home. So, what your farthest trip that way is Louisville, maybe, I think.
Carolina and Duke, I guess, but even that's not terrible. Yeah, that's as far as you're going because no Florida, no Texas, no West Coast this year.
Yeah, nothing awful, but, disappointing. I don't know if disappointing is the word, but hopefully, when that non-conference schedule comes out, we see a former Big East team on there that, you kind of get to play. It could be a rotation of teams. But, it stinks Georgetown's not on there. But let's be honest, that rivalry was gone a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm kind of to where it is now. Let's get them all in there and just rotate them around. Play Georgetown every now and again.
I'd like to play Villanova. I'd like to play, St. John's and company and go from there. So, as far as Georgetown is, once every 5 years, 4 years, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
like I as great as it was, I don't need to see the Pearl and Ewing things every year. We can mix in some of the other old highlights from the Big East. All right, we're putting the six pack. We're giving the six pack a summer vacation. It's going on it's going on a backpacking trip of Europe to find itself, I think. So we'll get that back for football.
I'll give you one tonight. Take the Stars.
The Stars tonight. Okay, extend the series. Extend the series. Are we going to get
series?
Are we getting Panthers Oilers again? Is that going to be the end result here at some point?
Yeah, I would say so. But man, are the Panthers a wagon? Like, they're really good. Like, Carter Verhaeghe scoring the game-winning goal last night for them. So, former Crunch guy. Yeah, they're really good. I thought it was Washington's year, but Florida, man, they're great goaltending, and they got guys that Sam Bennett knows when to score in the playoffs. And when you get a guy like Matthew Tkachuk that can, grind it out and stick up for you guys, and also, be that guy, that's a recipe for success.
All right, we're gonna let you go, Mario. Enjoy a day off tomorrow. How about that? Look at you. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll do it again next week. Okay.
Good talking to you, buddy. Take care.
There he is, Mario Sacco. We'll take a break. When we come back, yes, we're going to talk Tennessee Vols football in late May. You can't stop us. It's the start of our 12 games and 12 weeks preview of Syracuse football. Patrick Brown next. Q Sports Talk, ESPN Radio. Oh. Kark is very apologetic. He got stuck in a PLL meeting that got the time moved. This text asking me to answer questions in a non-specific public opinion poll seems like something I should click on immediately. At bad, Steve? Virginia is a... I like Charlottesville. It's a great area. But it's one where if you have not planned out your hotel in advance, you could get stuck in like a weird situation. Like you could get stuck way out if you don't have hotels planned out in advance. And I think back to the football game we played there a few years ago, when Dungy, flying kneed that guy into the end zone. Like, the media parking lot was in freaking Timbuktu to get down to Scott Stadium. The parking where lacrosse and a bunch of stuff is really nice. Like, lacrosse, basketball, all that is kind of central to parking, but Scott is at a weird area. That's true, Jen, but at the same time, then, like, you're in Boston. And, like, I get it's a slight haul out to Foxborough from Boston, but you're in Boston, so it's like, all right. Like, when you don't get actually in Charlottesville, you get pushed out, and you're just like, I am in nowhere. Like, the Charlottesville little downtown area is really cool, and, like, I think it's the Omni. The hotel opens out under the back of it, but it's just like one hotel there. I'll be interested to see how many people. Yeah, if UVA is not playing in it, I'll be interested to see how many people are there. Because Scott Stadium, it's not small. It holds 68,000 or something. But it is easily accessible from the general La Crosse region. It's very central to La Crosse hotbeds.
All across central New York, it's the 315 with Brian Higgins.
That it is. Here we are. Oh, you know, we've already started. We've already gone to day 93 here. 93 days to the opener, part of our Fran Brown 100-day countdown. And now we are about to start our much anticipated, I'd say never duplicated, but it's the third year we're doing it. It's our 12 games in 12 weeks preview of the Syracuse football season. And that is as far out as we are from Syracuse and Tennessee. First meeting between the teams since 2001. Less said about the 98 game in the Dome, the better, the way that one ended. Refs, SEC refs, yeah, we're still looking at you. It's almost 30 years later. We'll get over that one of these days. But right now, let's bring in our next guest. He is Patrick Brown from Go Vols 24/7. Patrick, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Glad to be on, and certainly Tennessee fans would love to talk about that 1998 Syracuse game.
I'm sure.
And the rest of that season, too.
Yeah, hey, I'll give you the rest of the season. Syracuse is still upset about the phantom pass interference penalty that set up the game-winning field goal. We'll get over that one of these decades. It's not going to be this one, Patrick, but one of these days we'll get over it.
Yeah.
All right, so Cuse, Tennessee in the opener. We can save, the nitty-gritty preview in the game for 3 months from now, but it's been kind of a wild off-season for Tennessee, certainly around the Nico Iamaleava stuff. What has that all been like? What was it like to watch that all go down from your perspective?
It was, I've covered Tennessee since 2011 full-time, and so... man, I've seen some things covering this football program. For stretches it was a laughing stock, and also ran, things that don't happen anywhere else have happened at Tennessee. I mean, you can go back to 2017 with that coaching search where it looked like they were going to hire Greg Schiano, and then they don't. Then it went from candidate to candidate, and the AD gets fired after disappearing for half a day. I mean, just anytime I see somebody that's like, wow, this coaching search is crazy, I'm like, no, it's not. So, and a lot of bad football in there. So, but this situation, again, was something that, I don't think, obviously it hadn't happened before at Tennessee or really anywhere in college football where you have such a high profile situation, because what it effectively amounted to was sort of an NIL standoff, a sort of a contract holdout kind of a deal. With a college football player. So that was sort of, obviously new. NIL is not really new necessarily, and some of these situations have gone on, but they may be played out behind the scenes. And so this was obviously a messy public split that had sort of been kind of bubbling and kind of started back at the end of the winter window. And obviously there's been some back and forth with the narrative from each side trying to get out their version of events, but it was we went from not a lot of drama as there have been sort of as the off seasons have been under Josh Heupel at Tennessee, which is why they've started winning, because he's brought stability that was not there with any of his predecessors for the most part, and that has translated to success. And now they've got obviously one of the biggest storylines in all of college football this offseason, and certainly that's shaken things up and left them sort of
in a tough situation. I mean, it's say what you will about Nico as a player, but it's tough to have to kind of pivot and change your quarterback midway through the offseason, and that's what they're having to do.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to, when we heard Heupel talk, like, right around the spring game, right? He was like, the gist of it was basically like, fine, if you don't want to be here, get out. I mean, he said it a little nicer than that, but, like, how has Josh Heupel handled all this? Because, other than this, he's done a fantastic job right here 4 years into his tenure.
Well, I think he probably on some level, I mean, it's disappointing because, obviously I think he had a pretty good relationship with Nico, and I'd probably say that, a lot of things that have been said about Nico maybe aren't accurate because I don't think he's like a bad kid or has a bad attitude or is greedy or anything like that. I just think the way I tell people is I think he just got some bad advice from people around him, and maybe the setup around him wasn't what it needed to be because, for whatever reason, it maybe should have been handled differently. Maybe he should have been more open and going to the portal in December when he would have gotten maybe more closer to the money that he was getting. And certainly maybe they should have handled it better after, during the spring to where I don't think he's getting what he was getting at Tennessee at UCLA, and he certainly isn't getting what he was maybe asking for. And I do think Tennessee maybe made more of an attempt to keep him than maybe it was mentioned at the time, maybe not necessarily bumping up the, what they were paying him, but other ways to sort of, help sort of narrow that gap between what his side was wanting and what they were kind of already had on the table. So, but Heupel, I think he sort of said it that day at the spring game is that, no player or no, even he put himself there too, that no coach is going to be bigger than Tennessee because, this program has a long history of winning. There's been a lot of great players, a lot of great teams, a lot of great coaches at Tennessee, and there's going to be a lot of those great players and great coaches even after Nico and whenever Heupel isn't the coach there anymore either. So that's sort of the way he handled it publicly. I thought was really good. He's normally pretty guarded in sort of public speaking media opportunities, but you kind of felt like he was really sort of speaking a little bit more honestly and openly that particular day, but it didn't take long afterwards for him to be like, okay, I'm ready to move on and focus on Joey Aguilar and the team I've got and the guys that are here. So, and that's what he's got to do because you can't let that situation sort of linger and bring you down and distract you from what you need to do to get ready for the season.
Yeah, I'd say a main conversation that we have around here, and we've had around here for many years, involves one of Syracuse's main programs, lacrosse, where it's been, is Syracuse lacrosse back? All right, Tennessee made the playoffs last year. Heupel's done really well. Is Tennessee football back? Does it feel back right now?
Yes and no. I do think they're back to being nationally relevant, where, as I mentioned before, they were sort of a national laughing stock at various points. Obviously, Butch Jones had some good moments here, mid-20 teens, but then just sort of it sort of flamed out there. Obviously, Derek Dooley, even before him, was kind of the same way. Had some great players, but just not a program that was really capable of winning at a high level. And then Jeremy Pruitt comes in, and after that coaching search, which like a fan revolt and all that. And Pruitt comes in and he wins some games, but it ends in more of a clown show with what they were doing that got themselves fired, basically running an unofficial visit ring and doing, hosting kids during the pandemic and just dumb stuff that, they didn't even cover all that well. And now, Heupel's come in and like I said, brought stability, brought success. He's been big on culture since day one, and I think that you've seen that sort of the way his teams have played and the players that he's had. So they're nationally relevant to the point where, like the 2022, they win 11 games, beat Alabama in that game that a lot of people probably remember, even if you weren't a fan of either of those teams, I should say. They win 11 games, finished number 6 that season, and then obviously go to the playoff last season. So I don't think they're back. I mean, this is a program that's won a lot of championships. They still haven't been to the SEC championship game since 2007 and haven't won the conference since even, I think going back to that 1998 season. So they're not all the way back, but they've obviously made up a lot of ground and have become nationally relevant to where they're now sort of a top 15 kind of preseason team. You think they're to the point now where you almost give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll probably be pretty good, but what's the ceiling? And I think Tennessee has sort of learned under Heupel that, you can make up a lot of ground quickly, but some of that last little bit to sort of get over the top has been kind of, maybe the hard part. And I think they figured that out last year when, they go to Georgia late in the season with a chance to, if you win there, maybe you get back to Atlanta in the SEC championship game, but you get out 10-0 and then you get outscored 14-0 in the second half and lose that game. Obviously, you go to Ohio State and you see what the gap is between where you are and what the eventual national champion looks like. So, still got some ground to make up, and obviously the SEC is tough, and you've got to handle your business in some of these other games too. But and that's just sort of where they're at right now. They're not quite back, but they're certainly in a much better situation now than they were when Josh Heupel took over. I guess it's been 4 years now.
Patrick Brown, Gold Falls 24/7 is with us. We're doing our 12 games in 12 weeks preview of the Orange football season. Cuse, Tennessee, the opener down in Atlanta. August 30th. The state of the Tennessee Athletic Department, and this is kind of like an SEC thing right now, like the whole conference is rising in everything. Just saw Danny White was named AD of the year by somebody last week. Rick Barnes has done a great job with hoops. Watching Tennessee in the softball World Series right now with their pitcher absolutely dealing. What is the just general vibes of Tennessee athletics at the moment?
I think fans are just enjoying the ride. I mean, baseball team is about to start its defense of its national title in the regionals tomorrow. You mentioned two straight Elite Eight appearances. I know Syracuse, that's a big basketball fan base up there. Tennessee is not a lot of basketball history. They're, three of their elite, they've only made the Elite Eight 3 times, and 2 of them in the last 2 years. Certainly they sort of, I don't say lucked into Rick Barnes, but they were just sort of there when he parted ways with Texas, and boy, that's really worked out. He's been really incredible for that program as well. He and Tony Vitello, the baseball coach, are really beloved around here. I think Heupel is sort of in the same vein for what he's done in bringing sort of Tennessee football back to credibility. And I think they had all of their 20 varsity sports make the postseason last year. I think they've got a chance to do it this year. They were 3rd in the Directors' Cup standings maybe it was 2 years ago. I think it might have been last year, but I mean, they've sort of taken on this like everything school moniker, and a lot of places claim that. Mm-hmm. But certainly with the way Tennessee has won and won at a high level with some of its most high profile programs, we'll throw the women's basketball program in there too. I mean, can't mention Tennessee without Pat Summitt and what she did for the sport and basketball in general, and certainly the state of Tennessee and this area down here as well. That program is on the upswing too with Kim Caldwell, Danny White's hire. A year ago, her first season, they get back to the Sweet 16 and have had a pretty good offseason as well. So, yeah, it's been a great time to be a Tennessee fan. I know I mentioned earlier that the football program had its issues, and maybe that wasn't a great time to be a Tennessee fan. They have obviously a very passionate fan base, very active on social media, but they supported a lot of teams and coaches that didn't win and didn't play well and didn't perform well, and they're certainly enjoying a lot of winning lately, even if they've only got, I guess, the one national title to show for it. They still have enjoyed the winning, and they're hoping to see more of it starting tomorrow with baseball. Obviously, even right now with softball, as you mentioned, and certainly the football season as well.
Apologies, I did immediately jinx the softball team. They gave up I think I said she was pitching great, and like 4 seconds later, she gave up a 3-run walk-off jack for Oklahoma to win the first game there. So that went immediately wrong for the Vols. All right, last thing here, Patrick, before we let you go, and I'm sure we'll catch up when we get closer to the season, the actual game, and the X's and O's and all that. Like the SEC's running things right now. It feels like in college sports, and we see the SEC meetings going on and everything Greg Sankey has said. When you look at that from a Tennessee perspective, what has this been like to be, in the league that in many ways is calling the shots right now?
Well, in college football, you can make the case that the Big Ten is the one calling the shots. They've got the last 2 national titles. So, but yeah, I mean, this spring meeting this week, it seems like it's been a lot of talk, not a lot of action necessarily. A lot of talk about how they want to structure the playoff and. Is the SEC going to go to 8 or not? They're going to stay at 8 conference games like they have been. Are they going to go to 9? None of the schedules have been set past this season. I think the league is sort of waiting on what's going to happen with the playoff, because I think there's a split between the athletic directors want to go to 9 games for the extra money that they get from ESPN. But they also don't want to do that unless they have automatic qualifying spots, whereas the coaches can look at last year and say, hey, if it would have been a 16-team playoff where it's seeded straight up and you just have the 5 conference champion qualifiers and then the next best 11, the SEC would have gotten 6 teams in. So I think that's why, I think that's how they're looking at it. So they're waiting to see what the playoff does. Obviously, these conferences all got to get on the same page. I'm sort of a cynic, so I'm thinking that the leaders of college football aren't going to necessarily get it right. I would probably say you should just have the 5 best conference champions and then the next best teams and seed them how they rank. Certainly, I think Tennessee was one of the big losers in how sort of the flawed seeding system was last year, right? Because they were ranked, 7th, and they ended up as the 9th seed, had to go play at Ohio State, whereas if they had just seeded it by they were ranked, they would have opened up with SMU at home. And Tennessee's been really good at home under Josh Heupel. So, I mean, it's sort of like March Madness now where with the expanded playoff to 12, 16 teams, however it is, your draw is going to matter. And certainly Tennessee got a tough draw. That was a tough night for the program to get beat the way they did at Ohio State. And, I think Oregon, too, they got a tough draw out of that as well, being the 1 seed and then having to play Ohio State in the next round. So they've got to sort of figure this out. Certainly the ACC and Greg Sankey, have a lot of power in the realm of college sports, but it's tough to get everybody aligned because everybody's got their own interests to worry about. And, for all the stuff that's going on away from the field and court, I mean, in courts and college sports, the product seems to be doing great ratings, a lot of attention. So a lot of anticipation for the games and stuff when we get to the fall. So it's that time of year where a lot of the stuff that is kind of on the side is sort of dominating the headlines, but I can speak for myself, and you're just ready for the season to get here and the games to start being played and things that go that way.
Yep, 93 days, Patrick, until Syracuse and Tennessee
be here before we know
get on the field. All right, man. Really appreciate the time today. I'm sure we'll check in with you in 90 days or so. We'll reach out, but appreciate the early preview here on the Vols.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, there he is, Patrick Brown. Go Vols 24/7. He is the Mike McAllister of Tennessee. Yes, as both work for 24/7 Sports. So I'll take a break. 411 Jordan next. Q Sports Talk, ESPN Radio. Yeah, that headshot, it does have a little, it had like a slight Damon-y vibe to it. Tronic. He knows botany, Spatch and Louise. Botany. That's a great flick. Even better book. Oh, Project Hail Mary is an even better book. The Martian's a great movie. The Martian book is an even better book. And the Project Hail Mary book is elite, which they're making a movie out of, though that feels like it's going to be a very hard movie to make well. Project Hail Mary is the best book I've read in years. That is a fantastic book. Oh, it's like if you like The Martian, I'd say read the book The Martian. It's like the movie, but just there's more. Like obviously you cut out some stuff to fit it all into a movie. There's like just more detail and whatnot, but it's very similar vibe. Like the character Mark Watney in the movie feels exactly like the character in the book. They nailed that. But Project Hail Mary is an even better book. Just a great story. Great character. Rocky in that is one of the best book characters in a long time. It's a great book, Kev. Love the book.
Matthew, sales, no theatrics. Craving something delicious? Head over to Taza Pizzeria and Grill, located at 466 Westcott Street in Syracuse. Cheesy strawberries and calzones,
Read 23 books last year. I'd have to look at my Kindle situation to know how many books I made it through. Let's see. Timeline. Let's go back to last year. Did I finish that? I borrowed it on December 21st. We'll count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I read part of that one. I didn't like that one. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Looks like I did about 15. And almost all while falling asleep at night, Spatch and Louise. Thank you, Kindle backlighting. Well, that sounds like fun, Kev. Say random book people on Instagram popping up are often books I now just add to the list of things to check out of the Kindle library.
This is the 315 with Brian Higgins.
And then it is. Here we are, rolling along on this Thursday. Today is indeed Thursday. And even if today wasn't Thursday, it would still be time for this.
Here's the 411.
Hello, and welcome to Movie Phone.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
In the 315.
So you're going to be doing that all week, right?
Nah.
What's going on is it's just about time for the 411, brought to you by our friends at Superior Plus Propane here on this Thursday. And on this Thursday, we have located Jordan, who has a very orange Monster Energy drink.
Ultra Sunrise.
I was going to say, that could just be regular Sunrise. That's like aggressively orange. That's how you know it's good.
Yeah, we usually have the white ones. Also, usually not going for a monster, but got to get amped for 12 games in 12 weeks.
You have to.
Have to get hyped.
It's required. If you can't get excited that we're 93 days from Syracuse football, then you're in the wrong place.
This might be more volunteer orange, though.
Well, it's kind of splitting the difference, really, that can between Tennessee orange and Syracuse orange. It's like, that can's like going right down the middle between the two oranges.
Oh, how fitting.
It's almost like Florida orange. I think that can would then be, in theory, supporting Syracuse because they hate Tennessee.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
Florida orange it's a stretch, but I'll call it a good transition. If we're going to talk Florida, then we can talk a little college hoops.
Okay.
Because everybody's talking about the college football playoff and how they're mulling that over at these SEC meetings, but John Rothstein's the only guy I see freaking out about the discussion of expanding the NCAA men's basketball tournament That is one of Charlie Baker's top priorities at the Big 12 spring meetings. He's hoping to get that changed as soon as the 2026 season.
Why? I mean, well, here's the answer to why. More money. We just don't need more teams in the tournament for the tournament. Like, the tournament... Don't expand the tournament so it takes up another week. 3 weeks is fine. If you add in a few and we have enough, like if we have like Dayton 2, who gets to be the other Dayton? What a weird thing to bid for. It's just like, hey, Sioux Falls, you want to be other Dayton? Who wants to, hey, Omaha, you want to be the other Dayton? Who wants to be the other Dayton? Because realistically, the only way you can do it is you'd need another place that's going to do sets of games on Tuesday and Wednesday. Because what's so good about the NCAA tournament, it is the bracket, it is that it ends, it is that it's 3 weeks. Like, if you're telling me that's now a month and we're doing whatever, like what, and I got to care about week 1 in a 128 team tournament or something? No. Stop. Like, those teams just get out of here. If you add, I guess that would be what, 8 more, which would take us to 76 and fill up those 2 days. I'll begrudgingly accept it, but I don't need more than that.
Do you think like DraftKings, FanDuel, insert sportsbook here are subtly like, you guys got to do it. Think about the TV money. Do it.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be the ones making the money.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But that's what they're telling them. They're like, oh, that TV money, guys, you got to do it.
Well, you better know that. I don't know when the March Madness TV contract is up. Like Turner and CBS, I thought were locked in for a while here. You better know that you're adding extra TV money. Are Turner and CBS going to auto fork over that money? Are you trying to bring in a Netflix and Amazon or whatever to fork over the money for the extra games? Because to just add games for the sake of adding games without there being extra money is dumb.
Well, I think that's the holdup. They're negotiating with the TV partners.
Well, you better have extra money because
they're hoping by the end of summer they can figure something out.
What it's going to do is it's going to create extra money that schools owe because there are tournament clauses in coaches' contracts. There's all that. So schools are suddenly going to be on the hook for more money. They're already on the hook for more money with NIL and revenue sharing and all that. So you better be giving them extra money to pay for it. Otherwise, you're just randomly putting people on the hook for money for no good reason, for games that nobody really wants to watch. Like, whatever those games are going to be, I love the tournament. The tournament's great. It's the 64 team bracket part of it. It's the perfect sporting event. 3 weeks, it goes into everything works. The numbers all work. If you're telling me it's 76 teams and now I got to be watching like 15 and 14 Rutgers versus like Sam Houston State, who finished second in some random league at noon on a Tuesday? Depends. Is this game on Westwood 1? Ooh.
Great question.
Day off. I'm back in. We're back in for the tournament. We're off that week.
What do you think about the first
tournament
4? Because that American versus was one of like the best games of the entire tournament, and I think I slept in and out and woke up and was like, I gotta watch this. And American and put on a really good contest. But
I take American one? I don't remember who.
Oh, God, I don't even know, which is the point.
Exactly.
Like the first 4, phenomenal game. I don't remember who American was playing. I'm not even 1,000% sure it was American.
I don't know. Like, I put those games on because they're on, but like it's not. It's just whatever. I don't know. We don't need it. We don't need more. Was it fun the year Syracuse won there and went on a little run? Sure. Yeah, VCU went first 4 to the Final Four.
I don't even know if this was the right game.
I don't know.
That's the point.
Well, that's the thing.
They played Mount St. Mary's.
They're just inherently unmemorable.
I made my point while embarrassing myself.
But it proves the point. If those games happen, you watch them because they're on, and
was
that's
it
about
Southern Alabama?
Sure.
Does that sound right?
Maybe.
Does someone in the chat have it?
Nobody knows. That's the whole point.
No, they didn't. I don't know.
Like, I know.
I don't know who the game was.
Like, first-round games, I know that Bryce Drew beat Ole Miss. That game happened 25 years ago, and I know that happened. First 4 game could have happened yesterday, and I got no idea that it happened.
Maybe it wasn't even a first 4. I don't know. I'm going to pivot while Googling this.
Okay, the Google pivot.
speaking of expanding, college football, they're also going to see a little expansion in terms of the requirements for coaches to get in. Don't know if you saw this one.
I did see that.
Yeah, it's good because the win percentage requirement dropping from 60 to 59.5% allows the human soundbite, Mike Leach, to get in.
Yes, there will be a pirate in the College Football Hall of Fame now.
No, I mean, here's the question. This feels like it was done for a reason.
Oh, of course it was done for a reason.
Like,
so why didn't you didn't need to change the rule? Just say, like,
exception, or
just say, like, we're putting Mike Leach in the Hall of Fame just because, come on.
I understand what they're doing, though, too, because it's like, all right, if you're up around 60, I guess, two-pronged question. One, and you half answered it, I don't know. How do you feel about them changing it just to get one guy, even if we love him, in? Two, do we really need a win percentage requirement for a Hall of Fame?
It seems that it inherits...
If you're good enough, you get in. If you're not, you don't.
Like... Were you going to be putting in guys that won 48% of their games? The whole thing seems weird. But yeah, Mike Leach, dude should be in the College Football Hall of Fame for a lot of reasons. Dude's press conferences should be in the College Football Hall of Fame just by themselves. They're probably already there. All right, Jordan, you have a limited time here to finish your research before I hit the What's on Tap button.
These games are just like not real.
Well, that's the problem. And now now you want to add more of these every year?
It wasn't Grambling State, Montana State.
It could have been. I don't know what you're remembering.
This wasn't even this year.
Jordan's remembering some game that actually happened in the third round 4 years ago.
Tell them what's on tap.
Okay, I'll tell them what's on tap.
I'm going to find this.
Here's what's on tap tonight.
I don't know what Jordan's got on tap. Jordan doesn't know what was on tap or when it was on tap. What's on tap tonight? Here's a basketball game that is indeed happening tonight.
St. Francis and Alabama State, Brian.
Okay. I believe you.
Great game.
Sure. Let's get more of that.
76.
Go team. 76. Expand. Next, trying to extend their season tonight. Coverage starts right here, ESPN Radio at 7:30. Tomorrow, Friday, we'll do some stuff. AI Friday. Man who sort of knows. We'll figure it out. Have a good night, everybody. We're back at it tomorrow right here at Q Sports Talk, ESPN Radio.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
You've never seen Naked Gun?
Nope.
It's classic. What do you think it's about? Just out of curiosity.
Well, the name
I'm
would
going to
suggest.
Taekwondo.
No.
Your mind
you can't just go off of the name.